We had a tournament with over 100 people, and here is the metagame that played out. We had 14 Mega Lopunny and Lucario. Basically, this deck right here has become super popular in the metagame right now, and this deck overall has been seeing a lot of success. And I wouldn't, be surprised why so many entered. But then again, we had 13 Mega Absol and Magnezone decks. So we're starting to, trickle down into that, meta where we could start splashing Magnezone into multiple decks, and it is working like a charm. And then we got Hydreigon, Mega Absol. We had 8 of those. That deck is super, super strong as well as, from the last format. Nothing has changed from this deck. And the same could go with Suicune Greninja. That deck is just super solid. Greninja EX is always going to be a solid pick. Then we have Magnezone Oricorio and Mega Y Charizard, and then with Entei. So basically, those are the most popular decks that have entered in my tournament. And let's get into the top 7 decks that performed really, really well. The first deck I want to talk about is Charizard Y. So Mega Charizard Y, overall a strong pick. The fact that you could ramp up with Entei is kind of crazy, and this player ended up using the Combustion Charmander instead of using the one that does 30 damage. Then again, it could have been just for a flex, to use the shiny Charmander. But, using Charmeleon is the new way. We do not have to play Rare Candy anymore because Charmeleon just helps you ramp up to that energy super fast. And one thing I want to mention that's completely different from this build, from other builds, they're playing Repel. So Repel is going to help you deal with Oricorio threats and start attacking anything else on the board. Not only that, they do play Sabrina. Sabrina is also awesome to deal with any threats in the back row. So I would recommend you guys, try that out for Ori answers. If not, you do have the basic Charizard that does 150 damage for 4 energy. Again, this deck isn't that hard to ramp up your energy. You do have Flame Patches to help you out. You have Charmeleon to help you out. And yeah, you just have so many options. And you are playing Double May. Double May is really good in this deck, so you could find the missing pieces. Or if you need to find your basic Charizard, because you do only play one instead of playing two, because Mega Charizard Y is going to be the main attacker. That being said, we have a new toolbox, Darkrai Magnezone deck. We are in a format where you could just have the Magnezone package and just drop one Clement, and then boom, you have the whole package, and then you could start playing a bunch of good meta cards. So here we just added a bunch of the best cards in the game into one deck. Chingling is really good because you can stop item cards. Tyrogue, you're chipping damage with 20, and a lot of things are weak to fighting. Well, normal types are, so if you see anything like an Eevee or just, putting 20 damage is just overall pretty good. You have access to Mega Absol. Mega Absol is super strong, ripping cards from your opponent's hand. Darkrai is also really, really solid. Most of these builds either play double Darkrai or one-on-one, as you're seeing right here. This got top 6, and it was super strong. Next up, we have Professor's Research playing double of those, double Lycias. So the double Lycia is there, so you could look at the Magnemite. The 50 HP is insane, the fact that you could search this. And not only that, you have Clement that could search Magneton, so you could get your pieces. The beautiful thing about this deck is that Magnezone only needs 1 electric energy, and you could just full charge and play Dark Energy, so you could capitalize with Darkrai and a Mega Absol. Next up, we have Cyrus and Copycat, Lily, and Pokeball. 1 Pokeball because we play the Lycia at 2. And then you have 1 Giant Cape. The deck is super solid. I would recommend you guys give this deck a try. The next deck I want to talk about is Greninja EX. Greninja EX is just going to be one of those decks that always stays consistent in the meta right now. So the way you play this is really going to determine how you win. It's not always as simple as just getting Greninja. Sometimes you got to figure out, how to play out, like when to give energy to Suicune or not. Indeedee is very powerful in this deck, and just overall, just keeping this deck, up afloat, and Greninja being able to swap out, your Pokemon at will, it's really, really good. In this build, you are playing double Cyrus because you have double Greninja, and then, your one Idra, one Cape. Mars is really good. Copycat, double Rare Candy, double Pokeball, and double Research. This deck will always be a super solid pick, and I would recommend you guys play this if you do not have access to the newer cards. Now, I wanted to bring up a version, so it's basically the same version without the Magnezone. This deck right here has been a little bit popular towards the end of last format, but there's a little twist to this. We are seeing double Tyrogue, so we're capitalizing on the extra chip damage, and it is super useful because you have 20 pings from Greninja, 20 ping from Tyrogue, 20 ping from Darkrai. It's just insane, and you're only playing Dark Energy here, and then you have access to Mega Absol. Mega Absol could, rip cards. It's super powerful, has nice HP, and you have Rocky Helmet for initial another 20 damage, which is insane. Now, double Cyrus, double Professor's Research was played with double Copycat, one Geo. So Geo sometimes helps with the magic number in order to get that extra knockout. In this deck, you're doing so much damage all across the field is really good, and sometimes you have to Geo into Chingling, especially if you're going first, so you could get access to your rare candies and Pokeballs. And overall, this deck got 4th place in the tournament. And let's go into the next. We have this version of Magnezone was super surprising because not only did he not play the original Magnezone, he ended up playing the new one, which basically this attack does 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon as well. Honestly, it's just overall a preference thing, but again, the charging one I think would have been so much better. But if this guy made it to 3rd place, it's kind of insane. Again, Oricorio must have been a nice factor, and he ended up playing double Clement and double Clement's backpack. The Clement's backpack gives you an extra 20 damage, and that's kind of crazy with the Magneton. And just overall, this deck just performed really well. Electric Magnezone's Mirror Shot is super strong, so this is one deck I would say just give it a try. Now, this is why you guys probably clicked on the video, because this came in 2nd place, and we are playing Mew Jolteon EX. Now, Jolteon EX is amazingly strong. Just overall, does 20 damage all across the board, and Mew being a cool tech here, where you could use Elemental Switch to give it a electric energy, and then just normal ramp. It's pretty interesting how it just plays out, because there's so many Mega Pokemon running around that you could abuse Mew's ability or attack to mimic your opponent's play Mega Pokemon, especially if they're playing Mega Charizard Y, something of that magnitude. Mew is like super insane. But overall, Jolteon is always a strong pick in this metagame because there is so much ramping, and this list right here, props to him for coming into 2nd. I wish this deck probably won, to be honest, because it's super interesting, and the fact that we are starting to see tech Mews in the format is pretty interesting, and I'm more interested to see how this evolves within the format. Lastly, the tournament winner is the basic bare bones Jolteon EX. If you guys are struggling in building a deck and want to be like free to play, I would recommend this deck right here. This deck is so easy to build and, you know, low rarity and everything. And this deck is just overall amazing. You know, you just stick to your guns, right? You get a lead out Zero Aura or Eevee and just proceed to win the game. It's simple as that. You got your elemental switch, your double copycat for consistency, red card for hand disruption, giant cape so you live, and you know, X speed is going to be necessary to get those unnecessary starts, you know, swapped out, and then double Cyrus is going to be super good. With Jolteon EX, you want to start with Jolteon EX as fast as possible. But those are going to be, you know, the top 7 decks that performed well in the tournament today. Looking forward to see how, you know, the format continues to go. And like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Peace.